This podcast is part of the Michigan Sports and Entertainment Podcast Network. Go to michigansportsandentertainment.com for more great podcasts.
Hey everyone, this is Austin.
What's going on, guys? This is John.
And you're listening to the Voice of the Fan Sports Podcast. All right, John, we're back. I think it's episode 18, maybe it's 19. I don't know. Been kind of in a state of not true depression, but a little bit proud depression, I guess I could say, clouding my mind. Versus you, who took down the number one overall seed on Sunday, which was awesome to see, despite me having them win. But I do have a Michigan State bracket with them winning it all, and they play Virginia in the title game. So that's
you're keeping this a secret from me.
That's out there. I have so many brackets on ESPN. I just fill them out because it's so easy. But
yeah.
I do indeed have a Michigan State bracket. So we'll.
I'm just glad that I didn't sound like I'm now proven that I am not crazy. If you listen to the Michigan State pod and heard me trying to like give reasons why Michigan State could win, and I'm just glad now that most of what I said we did and we won. So I guess the craziest thing was, which I'll get into more yesterday, was we held Duke to like no fast break points, which was wild. But yeah, that'll be more for tomorrow's show. And Austin gets to talk about his Purdue Boilermakers, obviously, who disappointing loss, but hell of a season. So nothing to hang your head on if you're a Purdue fan.
Yep, exactly. So we'll dive right in there. We'll talk basketball. We'll talk a little bit of football. So, touch on recruiting. Recruiting is heating up in football. Had a huge junior day this past weekend. I think there were like maybe upwards of 50 recruits on campus, some big names on there. So a lot of good noise coming from that department, but we'll get there in a second. We'll recap the final two games of Purdue's season in the NCAA tournament. First up against number 2 seed Tennessee, and then 1 seed Virginia after that. So honestly, the Tennessee game, I thought Purdue wasn't going to win. So
man,
they proved me wrong. But
I thought they were going to win.
John, you've been spot on both of our teams in the NCAA tournament. I will say that you have absolutely predicted where our teams would be up to this point, and
I honestly
predicted against it.
I had no reason, I had no basketball reason to think Purdue would win, other than, like I told you on the last show we did, that Carsen Edwards, man, you have a player like that, and I know he was struggling at the end of the year, but obviously, the way he heated up, I mean, he had a historic tournament, not only a special tournament. I mean, he was scoring at a historic level. I can't even imagine how much more he would have shattered if they would have, played in the Final Four or even possibly a championship game. But, man, he did exactly what I needed him to do to make me sound smart. So, thank you, Carsen.
Yeah, and he was incredible in the tournament, but the Tennessee game was not the Carsen Edwards show. It was the Ryan Klein show.
I loved it, dude.
22 points in the second half. He had 27 total, which was a career high, and he picked a hell of a time to do that.
Yep.
If everyone can recall from that game, 18-point lead on Tennessee. You had to know a run was coming. It's the NCAA tournament. It's number 2 Tennessee. Purdue was really doing a great job defensively. Admiral Schofield wasn't doing much. Tennessee was having not trouble, but wasn't scoring at will like they did, previously or had been able to do. And then it just kind of slowly started creeping in. Tennessee found their shot, and it wasn't that Purdue was, playing poorly or was losing out on the second half. It just Tennessee picked it up, started making those shots they had been missing all half. Admiral Schofield showed up. He hit a bunch of big shots. And, I mean, Purdue found itself, basically saw the lead evaporate. Like toast, poof, gone. And then really it started getting worrisome as the clock started to dwindle. Tennessee would take the lead. And Ryan Klein, man, he was just feeling it that night in Louisville because he kept Purdue in the game. He probably single-handedly saved Purdue from exiting the Sweet 16 again for a third straight year and advancing us to the Elite Eight for the first time in 19 years. And it was just big three after big three after big three answers. Purdue being down 3 with 2 minutes left. Klein hits a 3, ties us up. Klein hits a 3, puts us up. Klein hits a 3, ties again. And obviously the biggest shot came with about 30 seconds left. Shot clock's winding down, and Klein is dribbling at the top of the key. He there's a switch. So I don't know his first name, but Williams on Tennessee, who was the SEC Player of the Year or Defensive Player of the Year or something like that. He was, one of the best players in the SEC this year, was on him. Klein can't dribble away, and everyone should probably remember the call because it's kind of iconic in my mind, and I watched it like 100 times the next day, but he's trying to dribble away from Williams. He can't do it. It almost looks like he turns it over at the top of the key. He tries to drive. He's trying to get the ball to Carsen. Carsen is blanketed, and he goes behind the back, steps back, and shoots a 3 and swishes it. Nothing but net, ties the game at 80, and I mean, oh my gosh, I was freaking out. I could not believe he made that shot. If he missed that shot, it was probably game over. With Purdue.
That was probably like you were probably like I was when Kenny Goins hit the 3, except more ecstatic because Kenny Goins hit a catch and shoot. That Ryan Klein shot was like I know he's a sharpshooter, and man, that kid can shoot, but to do what he did off the dribble, just it was
step back.
Dude, it was so fun to watch. And I'm glad we started this because it's forced me to watch Purdue and just my Michigan State team that I think is really fun to watch. I had a lot of fun watching this Purdue team this year, especially in the tournament. And it's almost funny how I can compare a Brian Klein to a Matt McQuaid type guy who just always can shoot. I'd say Ryan Klein's a much better scorer than McQuaid is, but when you needed him most, he went out and dropped 27 points, just like McQuaid did in the Big Ten championship game out of nowhere.
Yeah. I mean, Carsen had gone cold. He was not hitting his shots. I mean, he was almost deferring to Klein because he recognized the hot hand. And, I mean, both teams were abysmal from the free throw line. Purdue, no exception there. So the funny stat, 50% from the line for both teams and then 50% from behind the arc, which is not something you typically see with that. But, man, I tell you what, that shot, I can hear the call in my head. I wish we could pull the clip and add it in, but I know we can't because that's probably a copyright thing.
Well, maybe Connor can work some magic for us, even though we'd get our show shut down probably.
But, I mean, just incredible shot. But the game's not over. And Tennessee goes down to, I think it was a post drive. We're playing good defense. Harms gets sucked in to block a shot, which frees up Williams, and he gets a slam dunk, 82-80, with probably 5 seconds left in the game. And so it's so deflating after that big Ryan Klein shot to keep us alive and keep us in there. That happens. You play good defense, and you get the missed shot that you want, but you just kind of lose the backside and a slam home to take the lead. But, obviously going down to the other end of the floor, Carsen Edwards has the ball, drives it. It's blocked out of his hand. People are wondering if it went off his foot. I think it didn't. The ball didn't change direction. It didn't change its spin. It looks like it from a certain angle, but when you look at it from behind, you can tell it doesn't hit him. So that was a little controversy, but not a whole lot. But the big thing was on the inbounds pass, no one can open up. There's 1.7 seconds left, and Carsen Edwards gets himself open into the corner, takes a jumper, and gets fouled, taking the 3. He misses the shot, so he's got 3 free throws.
Walk us how you were feeling when he missed the first free throw.
I don't know if I have a word.
Dude. That's the first thing that popped in my head when he missed the first free throw. I was man. I was like, Austin is sweaty right now. He is freaking out.
I was stressed. And I mean, I knew that he's like 86%
Right.
free throw shooter during the season. No one in this game was shooting well from the line. I think Carsen was 50% from the line that night, and he misses the first one. And I'm like, oh my gosh, fight, claw, scratch, everything. And we're not going to be able to hit free throws to at least win the game or send it. I mean, I didn't even know what was going to happen. Calmly, collectively, as the leader, sinks the next two. We go to overtime, and Purdue kind of just basically not dominates, but takes control of the game. And we seal the win, and we're off to the Elite Eight for the first time in 19 years. And that was awesome. I mean, that game really showed, some of the grit that Purdue had found later on in the season, not being able to close out big games, losing leads. Like the Michigan State game comes to mind at Mackey Arena, where there was a 20-plus lead, and you saw it go down to 4 before you stabilized.
Painter even brought that up too in the post-game interview.
I mean, these teams are going to make runs. It's just an inevitability. They're so talented. Obviously the only team that couldn't really do anything was Villanova when we thumped them so badly. But even still, they went on a late run, towards the end and cut their deficit from like high 30s to the 20s. So we didn't really feel that. But the team, the good teams will make the runs against us and just against anybody, really. There's not really that many blowouts with good teams in the tournament for the most part. So, it's just a testament to Purdue. And, obviously Ryan Klein had it locked in. Carsen Edwards was down the stretch vital. And everything really came together for the Elite Eight matchup against Virginia, who didn't necessarily beat the brakes off of Oregon, the only double-digit seed at the time that was remaining. So, and personally, when I looked at all the 1 seeds, I thought Virginia was the best matchup for Purdue. Not overly lanky and long, not, crazy athletic. Obviously, they're a very good team, very good defensively. They've been the top team defensively in the country for like 5 years or whatever. But I felt really comfortable with Purdue matching up because I just didn't see how they could, effectively guard us because we're a shooting team, and that's where Virginia would sometimes get into trouble. But, going into that Virginia game, obviously Purdue was hitting well early, got a 10-point lead, and then by halftime, I think we were up by 1. It was just a slugfest then. Virginia's defense settled in. Purdue got a little cold. Virginia necessarily couldn't make some shots, but neither could Purdue. So going into the halftime, it still felt okay. And then, at the start of halftime, Kyle Guy opens up going like 4 for 4 from behind the arc. And he's been 3 for 26 in the tournament. It's like the one thing that you don't want to see with Purdue. Virginia started hitting their shots. And, Virginia's defense really started to kind of clamp in on Purdue. And I remember we had some people over and I said, if Purdue gets behind by 10 points, it's over because we're going to start rushing. We're going to start looking for bad shots just to try and get, something in, and it's not going to work. But instead of that happening, Carsen Edwards happened, and he just hit. I mean, this was Carsen Edwards' game. It was his game. Obviously, 42 points, 10 threes, over 50% from behind the arc and the field. I mean, just an incredible, incredible performance from him. And he's really the sole reason that Purdue was able to stay in the game in the second half. He just kind of was, in his post-game interview, obviously he's not looking to carry the team, but if he gets into a rhythm, he's going to take the shots. And I thought it was really cool, Virginia's post-game conference talking about how unstoppable he was. And truly that's what was going on. And it was back and forth, and really both teams weren't making shots down the stretch. And I remember towards the end of the game, Purdue has the ball. I can't remember who. I think it was Carsen. He shoots a 3. He had just banked one in before to take the lead. He shoots a 3. Rebound goes opposite way. It looks like Virginia's going to rebound and have last shot with about 20 seconds left. And Grady Eifert comes flying out of nowhere. I mean, didn't even see him coming, and snags the rebound as time keeps going. 16 seconds, he dishes it off to Klein. and there's a foul. Purdue's in the bonus, and you're thinking at this point, we were up by 2, or no, we were up by 1. Or wait, because they hit a 2 and Klein missed. Okay, excuse me. So we were up by 2 with a chance to go up by 4. A double digit, or not a double digit, but a 2-score game, 2-possession game would have been huge. And Klein gets to the line. He's a good free throw shooter. He makes the first one, and then he misses the second one. Or misses the first one, makes the second one. And it's a 3-point game then, but you're still feeling okay as Purdue. Virginia still has a lot to do to get back in. They had a lot of shooters in. I felt like Purdue was going to foul. And I would say the only thing I wish would have happened differently is Ty Jerome had the ball for Virginia pretty far out. Nojel Eastern was on him. As time was winding down, Nojel Eastern from the bench telling him to foul. Fouls with about 5 seconds left. And I would have loved to have seen a 4 or 3 second foul, while he's still out there. If he starts moving, obviously he can't, but just something with a little less time. And so the foul happens, 5 seconds left. Excuse me. Jerome hits the first one, and then the thing that, the odds are always against the team shooting the free throw. You have to miss a free throw on purpose to give yourself a chance to get back in and shoot a layup to tie or a 3 to win. And usually the strategy is hit it off the front of the rim and it comes right back where your team's expecting it. But you see a lot of teams miss the rim, hit the back of the rim, get a bad bounce that way. And you play the odds there. And I like the decision. I like the call. But it was a perfect missed free throw, hit the front of the rim, came shooting back when they were ready for it. They hit it back over half court. They pick it up, and as time is basically expiring, really 0.3 seconds with the ball on his fingertips, I think it's Diakite, takes probably a 10-footer, puts it over Harms as he's coming across and sinks it right at the horn. And it hurt as a Purdue fan, I think. I mean, Eifert gets that crazy rebound. You go to the line. All you got to do is make your free throws. Klein misses 1 of 2, goes 1 of 2 at the line. And that happens. And I mean, it's just, call it what it is, but it's just March basketball at that point. Obviously we go into overtime, and that's when the magic kind of ends. No one was able to really get anything going for Purdue minus Carsen. And even in overtime, he didn't quite hit the shots he probably would have liked to. And Virginia, the ending of the game is probably what is the most regrettable. You still have a chance to make a shot. With Carsen shooting the way he was, you never know. And obviously Klein showing he could hit the big shot. And the inbounds play, Carson streaking up the sideline, and he thinks he might get fouled. So he tries to pass it to Klein, curling off a screen, and it's just a little too outside of him, and it's a turnover, and that's basically game over for Purdue. So a really tough loss, but you got to be so proud of this team. I mean, truly, 6-5 in December. You lost your 4 starters. I mean, everyone's heard the narrative. This was supposed to be kind of like a in-between year for Purdue. Wasn't supposed to do much, but give credit Matt Painter. He was named the National Coach of the Year by, I think, the Coaches Association for college basketball. But obviously well-deserved. 6-5 in December, not looking good. You rattle off a ton of big wins. You get a chance for the outright Big Ten title. You let it go, but you still get a share, which is still big. And you get to the Elite Eight for the first time in 19 years, Painter's very first time. And basically you're 0.3 of a second away from going to the Final Four for the first time in 30+ years. So, obviously it hurts. You were that close, and it slipped away, but you just got to be so proud of this team. And I really think there's going to be a lot of talent coming in next year, just with the development of the freshmen now. And some of the guys coming in next year, there's a lot of optimism around this Purdue team. But obviously, John, the big question mark now is Carsen Edwards lit the tournament up. His stock has never been higher. Does he go to the NBA or does he come back for his senior year?
This is tough because I can see him coming back, but at the same time, like, how can you? Like, I don't know if his stock will ever be higher than it is now. I think before the tournament, I was leaning towards him staying. But now I think he's gone, Austin, unfortunately.
Yeah, I felt the same way. Obviously, the way he was shooting was sending him down draft boards. But when you light the tournament up on the national stage, I mean, your draft stock is so high. I think a lot of teams still wanted to see him play a little more of a point guard role when he's not. Nojel Eastern, Eric Hunter Jr., those are the point guards. But at his size, at 6'1", to be a pure scorer in the NBA, not exactly easy. Obviously, the Steph Currys of the world and such, a little smaller, but they are point guards by nature. They just, happen to be able to really shoot the ball as well. So, I don't know. I probably agree with you, John. I would say he's probably going to be gone.
I just feel like it's. I just had that feeling. I would not be surprised if he stayed. Looking at mock drafts earlier today, I've seen him go from like 25 all the way to like 44 type range. So, I mean, it's really if he thinks he can develop himself into a lottery player next year, kind of what Denzel Valentine did from his junior year to his senior year. So, I mean, I don't really know what to say with this because I want to say I think he's going to stay. But then again, like after you have a tournament like that, it's tough to kind of, I give you an answer, to be honest with you. I'm not really sure.
Yeah, it is tough. And obviously I think he can do the pre-draft process again and put his name in.
I think that's huge. I love that college basketball and the NBA does that.
And I think you're allowed to sign you're not, work with an agent, but still pull out. Normally when you sign an agent, it's a done deal, but I thought I saw something. I probably have to double check, but
I'm not sure on that. I didn't think you could unless they changed it.
Yeah, like I said, I thought I saw something, but probably wasn't verified, and I should probably double check that. But it is a tough spot for Carsen, and Purdue obviously is probably prepping for him to leave, but you never know. I mean, I think in the NBA, if Carsen could develop more of a point guard play style and keep his scoring touch, I mean, he could be one of the best, a lottery potential pick if he could do that and develop that. I think that's what teams wanted to see out of him at 6'1". So it remains to be seen. I definitely think he's got the drive and the hunger and the ability to play at the next level. We'll just have to see because obviously at 6'1",
he's definitely
short.
He's definitely an NBA guy. Like he's definitely going to find himself on a roster at one point or the other. It's just, when he gets drafted and where he ends up and kind of how the situation is for him. Because, I mean, he definitely has the scoring capability and the shooting capability to be on an NBA roster for sure. I don't think there's a doubt about that. It's just kind of what role would he play?
Yeah. So either way, it's either going to be Carsen goes and Purdue spreads the minutes and tries to spread the scoring out with everyone on the team.
Just think about this, though, for a second. Imagine if Carsen comes back, man. Like, that team is going with the development of Travion Williams. Wheeler, I think, is one of the kids' name, right?
Yep.
You have Harms coming back, correct?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you still have your two bigs. You have Eastern still going to be back. He's going to be developed a little more. Maybe gets rid of that funky shooting motion. God, that is so funny to watch him at the free throw line.
Yeah, and he's drastically improved with it.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, whatever works.
Yeah, exactly.
Just imagining how loaded that team could be next year. Like, if Carsen does come back, I mean, I think next year you're looking at another head-to-head, neck-to-neck battle between Michigan State and Purdue again.
Yeah, and that's kind of like the kicker, right?
Right.
Carsen comes back. The whole thing around this team this year and why people thought some people thought they were successful was this team had no expectations.
Right.
They weren't supposed to be here.
It's kind of like the flipped role next year. If Carsen comes back, I mean, they're they're easily co-favorites with Michigan State with all the talent Michigan State has coming back.
Yeah, Carson will be favorite to win Big Ten Player of the Year. Purdue will be a favorite to win the Big Ten, and Purdue will be a favorite to go to the Final Four. I mean,
wouldn't it be nice for us selfishly to have one more year of Cassius and Carson?
I mean, absolutely, but it doesn't worry me, but it is an intriguing thought with that newfound pressure. But honestly, I don't know how much it would affect Purdue. Carson is Carson. He shoots a lot anyway. I don't think it's going to be any added pressure. He's just going to go out there and play his game.
Right. He's what he is. He's going to shoot, and when he's hot, man, you're not stopping him. And he proved that against Virginia. I mean, the 1-3 he made late in the game when he banked it. I mean, the kid was all over him, man. I mean, he finds a way to create space to get off a jumper, and it's crazy to see at his size. Like, he's just so outside, creating his own shot. He's so crafty with it that I can't I'm not saying he's the next Steph Curry, but the way Stephen Curry can just create his own jumper by doing weird things, Carson's the same way. I mean, it's a simple shutter step. I mean, that's nasty. And then he just kind of pulls up in your face, and he somehow finds a way to get it off. And he's so, I don't know how he makes the shots he makes, but he does when he's feeling it. So yeah, he's the definition of a microwave spark plug guy. I mean, he's going to get going when he's hot.
Yeah. And honestly, I think if he wanted to develop his point guard ability, this coming year might be the best year for that. Purdue not exactly equipped to do much outside of the outside shot, but you've got an athlete in Wheeler. You've got Harms, you got Travion Williams with a year of development. You got Nojel Eastern that we saw post up a little bit. You got some freshmen coming in that are versatile.
Williams is going to be nasty.
Yeah, I mean, you might have an opportunity to have a little bit better of looks passing wise, assist wise, because you're a danger. Your team's more dangerous all over the field instead of all over just behind the 3-point line. Obviously Eifert being gone, it's really going to be hard to replace him.
Klein and Eifert, right? Is that who?
Yep, just those two. So obviously Wheeler will take the minutes from Eifert, probably share them with Brandon Newman, the freshman coming in, I would think, and also maybe Mason Gillis, who was hurt his senior year, but I think he's on track to be good to go. And then, outside of those guys for Klein, Sasha Stevanovic is supposed to be the next shooter. So Purdue really has a chance to be really good. I think they have a chance to be better, more versatile, but it remains to be seen. If Carson comes back, I mean, yeah, this team's going to have some expectations, I think. And whether or not they let it get to him, I don't know. I think Painter does a really good job of grounding everybody and keeping everyone focused. And now that they've kind of got over the hump of the Sweet 16 where they've been stuck for a long time, especially Painter, I really think it's not the pressure. It was really just kind of, at the time, this year it was, but next year I think it's going to be a little more free flowing because Purdue now knows what it's like, and you're returning guys that have been there and know what to do and have been there before. So certainly an interesting conversation, and it'll be something obviously to monitor up until May. I think sometime in May is the last time you can pull your name out for the draft, unless there's an official announcement. Yeah, obviously everyone remembers A.J. Hammond's returned to Purdue his senior year. He announced at the spring game, which the spring game is this Saturday, so I don't know if Carson would do that, and I really don't think he would. I think he's going to go through the draft process again, listen to what they have to say, and make a decision from that. But we'll be monitoring it. Obviously, it would be a huge get for Carsen Edwards to come back. But again, he certainly deserves to go get paid as well, and I certainly hope he does. So that kind of concludes Purdue basketball. Obviously, incoming freshman Isaiah Thompson, the brother of PJ, Mason Gillis, and Brandon Newman. So look for Painter to possibly go into the transfer market. And then there's a recruit, I think, that's committed to Arizona, 5-star guy. Probably a one-and-doner, I would think. But Purdue was in on him really big before his commitment to Arizona. He's not signed, and it really hinges on the coaching development down there.
About Terry Armstrong?
No.
Okay, I was gonna say that's the kid from Flint who moved out to Arizona to play AAU and committed there. I'll find out who it is right now. Go ahead and continue your thing.
Yeah, I'll look too. It's kind of like I hate to say like a weird name, but it's kind of like a weird name.
Oh, it's already. Wait, what basketball decommits? I don't want
that. Let's see here.
Why is God? I hate 20.
Let's just go. So we'll while we're both looking, I'll keep talking about.
Yeah, you keep talking. I'll get it figured out.
Keep talking about football coming up. The spring game is Saturday at noon on the Big Ten Network. So we'll see that. And I found him. It's Zeke Nanji, I think his name is. He's I was kind of
hoping it was going to be Nico Mannion.
It's a 4-star composite score, 4-star, 24/7. I know Rivals has him at a 5-star. But he was a big time recruit, and I heard that Painter was pretty close, and so we'll see what happens.
Arizona's got a super good recruiting class that they might lose. Holy swoof.
Yeah.
I'm not going to get into Arizona's recruiting class. Sorry. I was just getting a recruiting little rush going there.
Yeah. But we'll see with him. But Purdue football spring game on Saturday. Elijah Sindelar shut down for the spring. He tweaked his knee last week, I believe. Didn't play in the scrimmage on Saturday that they had. I think it was a little bit of a hyperextension. He said he's okay today. And if he needed to practice, he could. Obviously, coach is being very careful with him because behind him is a redshirt freshman in Jack Plummer and a true freshman and I think a walk-on. So a little shallow at quarterback depth there, but really, interested to see, tuning in for Jack Plummer. He's going to run the ones and then kind of just see what Paul Fieri, the true freshman that early enrolled this year, what he kind of looks like. I'm sure he'll get some reps there. Running back wise, I know Tario Fuller was a little banged up, so it'll probably be a lot of Xander Horvath going there. And, defensively for me, I'm interested. I want to see what Corey Trice is looking like. I've heard nothing but great things from Jalen Graham. He's been all over the place. So I'm excited to kind of, hopefully see a little bit of him and, kind of see what these receivers have right now. Obviously, the big guys are coming in the summer. David Bell, Milton Wright, Mershawn Rice, TJ Sheffield. And right now, if you're Ahmad Anderson Jr., you're Jared Sparks, Jackson Anthrop, those guys, Corey Taylor. If your name's not Rondell Moore, your position is not cemented in stone. And I love our wide receivers coach, Jamarcus Shepard. Love him. He is so awesome. He tells those guys every day about the freshmen coming, and then they got to earn their keep. So Ahmad Anderson Jr., I know, has been having a really good spring, been making some plays, so watch for him on Saturday. And then obviously, big George Karlaftis has been running with the ones. He had a mic'd up today for Purdue. So, obviously the highly touted guy there. He's been running with the ones since he's gotten there and has not relinquished his spot. He's been doing really well in camp. And obviously room for improvement for a true freshman, but, he's been getting better every day, getting stronger every day. Apparently he lives in the facilities. He can't get enough of it. So he's very serious about this, and I'm really excited to see what he can do in some live drills with obviously with TV on, and see what that looks like. But, so with that, that's really it as far as Purdue football is concerned with the spring game. Had a couple of commits come across this past week and last week. I think I already talked about Gus Hartwick, the Zionsville number 3 player in the state, the center that committed, which is really big for Purdue. Excuse me. The second guy, Jared, I'm going to say Bazinski from Ohio, 3-star guy, 6'4", 295. So Purdue really looking to develop the offensive line. Obviously did pretty well defensively. The wide receiver is stacked, and the guys that they're going after and making noise with is another thing. They're making noise again, and it'll be remain to be seen who else kind of joins the train, so to speak. Really some interesting guys, as far as wide receivers concerned, which is absolutely crazy in my mind, because Purdue just brought in a crazy good class, but they're still at it, and still recruiting highly touted guys. So this class could possibly be better than last year's, which is really difficult to even really think about, but sure enough, it is. I know they had a big time dual threat quarterback today on campus. I think it was Evan Prater is his name. Yep, Evan Prater is his name. And he's warming up for Purdue. He's from Ohio. So just a lot of, keep your eye on Purdue's recruiting. They're really starting to gain some traction with some big time names in the recruiting scene. And like I said, they had 50. I think they had 50 plus guys there this weekend, all juniors for the incoming 2020 class. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how the season goes. That'll probably affect some of the recruiting as well. But right now, I would say Purdue's in a really solid spot, and they're continuing to trend upward. And that's exactly what Purdue needs to continue to get better. That's really it. We're running out of things here.
Big Ten news: Amir Coffey plans on hiring an agent.
So Amir Coffey might be gone from Minnesota, which will be nice.
I think you are right, though. It says Gophers guard Amir Coffey will hire agent and declare for NBA draft. A door is still open for him to return for senior season, however.
Yeah,
someone replied to it and said he isn't a senior.
Yeah, I feel like he's been there forever. I agree. I definitely feel like he's been there forever. That's really all I got. Purdue basketball wrapping up. Football is just starting to kick off, so we might be a little slow here. NFL draft is soon, though, so that's something.
What's your who's going to be playing championship on Monday, Austin?
Oh man, Auburn can shoot has been shooting the lights out, and they lost one of their star players in ACL tear, so now it's an emotional aspect. It's tough to pick against Auburn right now. So I think I would do Auburn over Virginia. And then, Texas Tech is a really tough defensive team, but I think Michigan State can beat just about anybody at this point. They're just playing so well right now. They're getting, big time minutes and points and contributions from everybody on the team.
That Sweet 16 game where Aaron Henry had like a stat line like nobody's had since Grant Hill was in college, and then Gabe Brown out of nowhere dropped 15. Having guys step up at the right time. So I hope you're right about where you're going with this.
I'm picking not Virginia, Auburn against Michigan State in the championship game. Whoever wins, man. I don't know. Honestly, I don't know who would win the championship game between those two. If Auburn continues to shoot the way they do, it's tough to stop them.
Yeah,
but obviously,
sure.
Michigan State has just been hanging in there with everybody. It doesn't really matter who. They blew out LSU and then took down the number 1 overall seed Duke with 3 of 5 top recruits in the nation on that team, including one Zion Freak Williamson. So, man,
yeah, I'll just say with this one.
I'll just go Michigan State. I just,
love it,
I think they'll win it.
I would love it. Honestly, I don't want to sound like I feel like it's ours to lose almost, but I think, but with that being said, there's no room for error. Like, any of these teams can easily beat us on any given day. So it's not like we are going to just easily beat Texas Tech and easily beat whoever. We're going to struggle against, Tech. It's going to be a close game, and struggle against whoever we play in the championship. So if we get to the championship, so it's not a given. I just feel like it's almost. I just have a feeling like it's ours to lose. I've never felt this way about a Michigan State team in 2009. If you thought we could beat that North Carolina team that had 6 first-round picks, you were insane. You should be probably in a mental hospital right now. And then the 2015 year was a special year. So just looking forward to a great Final Four, man, just like how the Elite Eight was insanely crazy and entertaining.
Yeah. So we'll see that. That's on the weekend, right? They play Texas Tech on
Saturday. Both games are Saturday. The first one would probably be around, I want to say 5:30 or so, and then Michigan State will be at 8:49.
All right.
Eastern
I think
time.
if they can get past Texas Tech, they have a really good chance of winning.
Yeah, I think Texas Tech's the one that scares me the most, because I think if you see Virginia in the championship, you already played a Texas Tech team who plays great defense, kind of prepares you for Virginia. So Auburn scares me, though, with the way they can shoot.
Yes, I agree.
I'd honestly much rather play Virginia, even though I know they're the supposed to be better team. But I feel like if Michigan State can just hit shots against Virginia, they'd be fine. I don't think Virginia can score against Michigan State.
Yeah, I think it would be a back and forth game there. So outside of that, John, any final thoughts before we sign off here?
I think for Purdue fans, basketball fans, keep your heads held high. Should be a fun year next year. Was a wild ride this year, but I did say you guys would win the Big Ten. You guys shared it with us. Austin said we'd win, so it was funny there. But I mean, special year for you guys, losing all the talent you lost and having the year you did, still making the Elite Eight, and I literally seconds away from a Final Four. So disappointing, yes, but nothing to be ashamed of, and should be extremely proud of your guys.
Yeah, couldn't have said it better. Purdue fans, we've had Jeff Brom watch for him to go to Louisville. That has come and gone. We still have him. So I guess now it's time to start
the Carsen
Edwards watch.
Ooh,
circa 2019. So we'll see what he does, and not necessarily. We do our best to post stuff that happens, when it does, but whatever decision he makes, we'll definitely have it here and break it down and see what it means for Purdue. So stay with us until that time in May. And we'll be cheering for John's Michigan State Spartans, I would say. Big Ten affiliate, and obviously for me, as a co-host.
Big Ten needs a natty, man.
It would definitely be nice to take one home. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. So, as always, I'm Austin, co-host John Emmons. Thanks for tuning in. Enjoy the games this weekend, and we will see you guys next time.
Hey, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. If you like what you heard tonight, subscribe to our podcast on iTunes, Voice of the Fan, and also give us a listen on SoundCloud. And if you could, like our page on Facebook at Voice of the Fan, and follow us on Twitter at Voice of the Fan PC. Thanks, everyone.